Someone asked me to do a video showing my modelling area and demonstrate what it takes to build model aircraft these days. So here it is. Let's start over here with this wall rack. That contains on top some washes, some specialists for engine oil and kerosene leaks, and some for panel lines. Below that, some pigments, including some metal powders for creating effects, and some paints. I don't use the hand brush very much, but just some basic colours that are needed when I'm painting detail with a hand brush. Most of my painting's done by airbrush. On top of this rack here, at the back, I've got varnishes, lacquer varnishes, enamel, and some acrylics, each useful in their own way for different things. And below that we have primers. The black primer I mostly use. The other primers also have their uses. And then some adhesives, 3 types of CA glue with some activator, and some PVA type glues. Then working around tops of the racks, we come to my paints. I've got 193 colours. They're all MRP lacquer paints, all ready for the airbrush. There's 193 because it covers all the 6 main combatant nations in World War II, and can do some post-war aircraft as well. If we just go in close, you can see they are very, very specific. Got a couple of, at the front are Japanese World War II colours, primers, national insignia, cockpit colours, etc. If we go the back, you see a couple of German, the RLMs are German World War II paints. A lot of paints. They cost about £5 a bottle, these paints, so they are not cheap, and this is not a cheap hobby for children anymore. Not doing them in a professional way. My knife rack, various blades, and some clamps. On the desk here is my painting notes for my next build, with a palette that I use for things like CA glue, etc. My headband, magnifier, and instructions. In the shelves, in this one, I've got various decal solutions and fillers. Several different types of filler are needed for different jobs. Pipettes. Those trays below all contain different types of clamps, plastic gloves at the end, and some rags. In here are sponges, and in here some pouring lids. This has got some shot glasses, quite useful. Lolly sticks, they're good for attaching parts for painting, and underneath them wire. There's copper wire and lead wire. In here, various holders, a mixer at the back, which I rarely use, an old battery-powered mixer that I don't use very often these days, but these third hands are very useful for holding parts secure while I work on them. Using the airbrush means doing lots and lots of masking, and I've got lots of different types of masking materials here on this tray, in this area. More in here. lots of different types of tweezers and pickup tools for different things. And drills here. I need a new electric drill, but that will come when I can find one that's good enough. In here are various cutters, some heavy duty, some for precision, for cutting really close. One set here is specifically for photo etched metal parts. In this rack I've got various files and brushes for different things, some for doing effects, some for painting detail, chisel, scribing implements, razor saws and scrapers. In those drawers at the bottom there are 3 different types of cotton bud. Top left there you've got balls, mixing balls for paints. In here are disposable brushes, and in here very useful cocktail sticks, lots of them. In here rigging at the top, and below scissors and scrapers and a large knife. Sanding implements, sponges and sticks, and sandpaper stuff for my electric sander. This is all for scribing, adding rivet detail, that sort of thing. And in here are weathering pencils for doing streaking effects on the undersides of aircraft, that sort of thing. And here is my electric sander, some soft pliers and various other bits and pieces that are quite useful. Paint pens, good for detailing, and various other things like spare blades and for scrapers, etc. Brushes, odd brushes and big bonder and that sort of thing. And in here are photo etch bending tools. This is all for airbrush cleaning. These are oil brushes for weathering effects. And these are metal wax paints for very realistic metal effects. Odds and ends drawer, this one. In here I've got some 2-part epoxy, and over here some polishing compounds for clear canopies, that sort of thing. It can be very useful. In here, degreasers, paint stands, a couple of pots of different types of plastic, polystyrene cement, metal primer, oil, decal film. On this rack I set out parts for my next build, all labelled up ready. It's not going to be a very long build, I shouldn't think. Not many parts to it, quite straightforward, but it is what's called a limited run kit. And those limited run kits can really give you a good kicking. Not usually very good, well fitting. Onto the airbrush area, and first a pot there of cotton buds being kept handy, and a box to stand parts on while they dry. My airbrushes, 4 airbrushes. My Procon Boy, which is my workhorse. Most airbrushing is done with that. This one's my top notch with a spreader cap. That's for applying primers. My other workhorse airbrush, which I use as a spare, my older one, which is an Iwata Neo. That one I nowadays use mostly for varnish application. And behind them, my H&S Ultra with a small needle, which is just for fine detail airbrushing. Plenty of space here for airbrushing with a extractor fan. This pipe I throw out the window to extract, because these paints are rather smelly. My turntable, paint cleaning pot, and various solvents, IPA, lacquer, levelling thinners, and white spirit, etc. And this screen is there to protect my reference library, just modelling related books and some reference materials. And my printer is there. Below the desk, I've got a vortex, a laboratory vortex mixer for mixing my paints. My paints do settle, and I do need a really thorough mixing. Over there is my compressor for the airbrush with waste bin. Again, at the back I've got a light tent for photographs. I've only ever used it once for photographing models, but it's there for when I need it. Plenty of workspace in this new modelling room, and plenty of display space as well. Not that I've got many models on display at the moment. Most of them didn't survive my move, but there's a couple I've done recently since I moved in of small 148 kits. I think I'm going to have on this shelf a display of 148 scale models. It's the smallest scale that I do. The thing about scale is that at 148, a 6-foot man would be 1.5 inches tall. When we were children, when we learned to build model aircraft, airfit skids, they were 172 scale, which meant a 6-foot man would be 1 inch. Not very realistic at that size. They're a little bit toy-like in my view. 148 is the smallest that I would build. And I've got a 148 scale project going on, and up here we've got what we call a stash of unbuilt kits. All these initially at first are 148 scale. All the way along here, 148 scale, waiting to be done. And then I come to my preferred scale, which is 132. With 132 scale, a 6-foot man would be 2.25 inches tall. That Liberator bomber there on screen now will be 42 inches wingspan when it's done. Big kit, big model. And up there are a couple more. Lots more display space along there. And down here on the walls, this is a half-size instrument panel for a Messerschmitt 109E. This is again a half-size Focke-Wulf 190D, and this is a Hawk Hurricane Mark I, a North American P-51 Mustang D, and a Mark V Spitfire instrument panel. Not a lot on the walls yet, but I will add to them. Here is a little sofa to sit and rest. Plenty of lighting. And up here is my 132 scale shelf, my preferred. And here we've got a Dornier 335 Luftwaffe model, HS 129, P-40 Warhawk with a Cobra helicopter at the back from the Vietnam War, a Mustang, a Thunderbolt, and a Mosquito. More shelving, and up top there is the box lid for the model I'm building next, a rather obscure Polish aircraft. And that's it. There is a lot involved these days in building kits. It's no longer a children's hobby. This cupboard is full of spare materials.